Hey everyone, it's Editing Sam. Just giving you a quick PSA. Kurt's audio is a little quiet for this episode. It should be fixed for the next one. We apologize in advance and enjoy the episode. Hi everyone, and welcome to Certainly Doomed Reviews. I'm your host for this week, Sam.
It's Kurt.
It's Katie.
And it's Corey.
This week's episode is Shaun and the Legend of the Hot Takes, where we watched Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. It is currently on Disney+. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes. The cast is Simu Liu, Awkwafina, Tony Leung, Monger, Fela Chin, Michelle Yeoh, Ben Kingsley, and Benedict Wong.
I love Awkwafina.
Me too. She's great.
Before we do anything, if I see she's in something, I will purposely watch it.
Have you watched Raya and the Last Dragon?
No, I want to.
It is so good.
Maybe we should watch that
Yes.
after this.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah.
It's so good, and
I don't have a lot of desire to see it.
I promise you, it's good. Not to
It's-
overly hype it, but I
Same.
promise you, it's good.
It's good. I really enjoyed it. I watched it in theaters.
Yeah, it was.
So-
It was a fun one, and Awkwafina is
I'm
in
Yeah.
it.
again,
Sorry,
Yeah.
already on a tangent. Look at us go.
Well, that is a hot take because I know people who don't like Awkwafina.
That is
so
true. There's a lot of
I
people
was
that
gonna
don't.
say, yeah, there's a lot of people don't fight them. I've realized one of them.
Yeah.
Me
I-
too.
You sat through Crazy Rich Asians and didn't laugh.
I still
I
don't
didn't
watch
love
that.
her. Oh, you would love it. We should watch it.
We'll put it on the list.
So it's a watch it for me because we didn't do this part yet, so we need to.
It's a watch it for me. I saw it twice in theaters.
It's a watch it for me.
It's a watch that I wish I saw in theaters.
Yeah, me too.
I
So
just,
it was a good experience in theaters.
I just want to say I'm so glad Corey said watch it to a Marvel movie.
There are Marvel movies I genuinely like. The problem is they go on. I feel like they get worse.
We can cover this at the end.
Yeah.
We'll save that tangent for the end of the episode.
So yeah, I'll get into the synopsis real quick.
Spoilers.
Yep, spoilers.
Yeah, spoiler mode.
Just go watch this movie. You'll have a fun time if you like martial arts movies. If you somewhat enjoy Marvel movies, you'll probably also have a good time. You don't really need a whole lot of previous knowledge to enjoy it. Here's the synopsis. Shang-Chi's story begins in San Francisco with his best friend Katie. His past comes back to haunt him when members of the Ten Rings army attack him and try to steal a pendant from his mother. It is Shang-Chi's father, Wenwu, who sends them after him. This leads to Shang-Chi and Katie finding his sister Xiaoling and trying to stop their father from unleashing an evil force known as the Dweller in Darkness. What was everybody's favorite part of this movie?
Man, okay, wait. never
My
mind.
favorite part?
I'm stupid. I was gonna talk about something else. My favorite part is easily the Fight Club. Like from the second they get to Macau, I want to say it is.
Yes, yep.
To when they leave Macau, to me is like you just clip it.
Yeah, that. Yeah, I have to agree. My favorite fight of the movie is the scaffolding fight. See,
Mhm.
Such a good fight scene.
Yeah.
not that the bus scene is great.
That's
And
all of the fight scenes are
yeah,
pretty
they
good.
all are good. The fight between him and his dad, my only gripe is that it's just on like a flat rock the entire time. It's not
Yeah.
very visually appealing.
Yeah.
It's,
But-
it doesn't
They
have
do
the
a
same.
pretty decent job with it, though.
Yes, it is emotionally like weighed well
Yeah,
enough,
a little
but
bit more.
Yeah, they focused more on the emotions than the actual fight itself.
but it would have been nice if it looked like the set that him and or his dad and mom fight at the beginning of the movie. I think it would have been like a nice,
Full circle moment.
yeah. I mean, he does do the moves that she does, but it would have been nice as well. But
Not just to have the moves, but to have the visual background as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, that scaffolding fight's my favorite. I just like the camera work in there, like how it moves through it all.
It's
And-
so cool.
It's so smooth.
I think
Yeah.
in was it the Mandy episode? I think it was the very first episode I had talked about how I'd just seen it again in theaters. And the first time Sam and I saw it, we went with our parents. And it was kind of hard to see what was going on in the fight scene because it was kind of dark. Like the theater itself, I think it was just a smaller theater. But then I went and saw it again with Tyler and it was on a bigger screen. And so it was easier to see. But such a cool freaking
I
fight.
was gonna say on Disney Plus is one of the most visual, able to see Marvel fights.
Yeah, it's so cool. As much as I love that scene, the bus fight scene is my favorite though, and I liked it because going into the movie, I'm thinking, great, this is about to just be a straight up origin story. Like we're about to see this guy get his ass kicked, and then we got to see him learn how to do all this martial arts and you know, and then the second he throws that first punch, we're all having the same faces that Katie does, where it was like, oh shit.
I mean, I don't know. I saw the trailers where he punched the guy. So.
But what I'm saying is, like,
Katie's making the face of Katie.
You just think it's gonna be like the stereotypical like Marvel movie.
Yeah,
where...
origin, where it's just coming in, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing yet, and he's got to learn, and we're going to watch him learn how to do all this. And it wasn't that at all. It was immediately, nah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's a great sequence because she doesn't know that he can do all this and hasn't needed her help his entire life that he's lived in America. Like, her reaction's pretty great watching that.
Yeah,
seeing the, like, betrayal on her face, the amazement and betrayal when she's like, I literally don't know anything about you. How could you do this to me?
Yeah. I was also gonna say she had like such a reasonable level of betrayal. Like, I understand feeling betrayed, but it wasn't like this like emotional part of the movie. It's like, what the fuck? And then that was that.
Yeah,
She's like, what the fuck? Why wouldn't you tell me? I'm like your fucking best friend, and then she accepts it.
Oh, I understand. I loved that they didn't have the I'm mad at you for what would normally be no reason, but this is a movie.
And then she becomes like the bad guy of the movie. Like, it was a lesser, like OG like Fox movie. I feel like she would have become the villain for some reason.
100%.
Or in the sequel, like she would have been like New Goblin from Spider-Man 3.
Can I also just say
by the blades of his own glider, Harry.
I also just really love the fact that like they didn't straight up just force a romantic relationship on Katie and Shang-Chi.
That is also nice.
There's hints of it at the end that maybe like they're leaning towards it, but it's never just like, oh, here's a guy best friend and a girl best friend and we're gonna make them fall in love.
They're also the most believable couple in Marvel.
Yeah, because it's not forced.
It feels like from beginning to end, it's not about them being a couple, it's about them being together and there for each other. But at the end of it, it really heavily implies that they're now a couple since they've been through everything.
Yeah, it's kind of like you and I.
Like you said, they're not. It's not right there in your face. We're a couple now. See, we're married.
Yeah, it's more natural, and it's like you and I have been through this big thing, and our trust for one another has really grown, and I respect you more now for everything what you've learned to do and how you've learned to act. So I just like that it wasn't
love me even though you watched me kill a lot of people in this movie.
Exactly. But it's just nice that it wasn't a boy best friend, girl best friend. Now kiss. You know?
It feels a lot more natural. I feel like they are a couple now, especially by the ending.
Yeah, well,
but it feels more like they have the same relationship. It's just more solidified.
Their bond has grown significantly due to what they went through.
Well, I think a big thing in the movie was the feeling of stagnation.
Yes.
And so I feel like they were always made a cute couple, but then...
They were always a couple, but not really one.
Her whole character is she never fully does something because she doesn't want to be disappointed in anything. So,
wow, I relate to that.
Yeah.
That feels very
yeah,
well,
like
her whole family is, oh, when are you two gonna get married? And so
when are you gonna find a job you like?
Yosis, you drive.
Or
Yosis, I want to be like you one day. Yeah, maybe you'll get your license too, ho.
Yeah.
That was great.
Which is then when the lady gives her the wisdom of aim at nothing, you hit nothing, which is pretty great. So
solid advice.
But,
brother hit me.
Or how she talks about how Asians don't move on, and then the whole kind of plot of the movie is how he just can't move on.
Yeah.
Yes, I loved that as well. They were like, that's an American idea. At the very end of it, they're like, you need to honor, but keep living.
Yeah. Well, that was a big theme of the movie is like the Asian American experience.
Yeah, they do a really good
job
of
Chinese
mixing.
Experience.
Yeah, they do a really good job of mixing the Asian American experience and then also taking like these traditionalist ideas and then kind of transforming them into something more.
Which is why he both has a sister and a friend that give him both experiences, because Katie gives him the Asian American experience and his sister gives him like the traditional like Chinese
tiger parent experience.
Yeah. But also it does a really good job of giving you more than one what's the word that I'm looking for?
Perspective?
No. Like teachable moment. What's the word I'm looking for? What do y'all have to know what I'm trying to say?
Like when the movie has a lesson.
Lesson. It has more than one lesson. Lesson is the word.
You really had to work for that word.
Yes. Listen, Katie. Listen.
Okay. So, So I have been holding back this rant the whole time. Are we going to move on to the least favorite part of the movie?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can,
Okay.
What's your least favorite part, Kurt?
Yo, literally take everything before the...
The tram?
No, not before the tram. Before the fight arena. Bar the train scene. I was
mean the
not
bus?
really sold. The bus scene. I was not sold. Especially the scene on the plane with the stewardess. I'm starting to hate that. Like, it didn't need comedy, and the fact that they got the comedy and brought me out of it, I'm like, this is stupid. Something about that scene made me so pissed towards the movie. I'm like, this movie fucking sucks.
I don't think it's supposed to be a comedic scene. I think it's supposed to be like life is still happening around them, even though they're like all this crazy shit is going on.
No, it was
All of a sudden.
It was a little extra.
It was
Like,
a
they
little
could've
extra.
Toned it down and still had a comedic moment.
I really feel like the fact
But-
that she was like, actually, we're also out of vegetarian. They could have just been like, okay,
Yeah,
and then move on.
That's when the joke goes a little too long, where she's just like, "Oh, we're out of beef." It's like, I guess vegetarian, like
I know it was
it's just
the other way, but yeah.
yeah, or whatever.
And she's like, so you'll have the beef? That's all that's left, right?
Yeah.
And you'll have the...
Or the whole character of Trevor, I feel like, was just put in there to get laughs.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That's my
It was-
nitpick.
it
Was
cool.
funny.
He does have the best joke of the movie, though. You have to admit.
I'm pretending to be dead.
No, the Planet of the Apes joke.
Oh.
That is the funniest like Bible
that is
joke.
a great joke.
But yes, I will also say it's has the least amount of quips of any Marvel movie like in a while.
Somehow it was my favorite. Wow. Ooh, look at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trevor was kind of my least favorite part, and I think that's
like
purely
Trevor.
because that was. I mean, yes, it was funny, but you can tell that was definitely aimed for the kids in the audience.
Same thing with the little thing without the face.
Yeah.
Morris.
Oh, is that his name?
Morris.
Oh, never mind. Morris is who I'm talking about.
Yeah, Trevor is
The
The
Trevor
dude.
is
person.
the-
I forgot.
the impersonator or the Mandarin.
No. Okay.
He's not the
he
real
was
Mandarin.
Also,
If they had just left him,
sorry, it's. I should preface this.
Since I don't know the background behind it, and it has to explain it to me in there, I actually, like, at first I really did not like that detail, but I actually like it now that I have sat on it for a little bit. I think it's a nice way to bring the universe to it, and it does explain it to make sense if you've never seen any of the other movies, and you don't need to know the whole rest of the background behind him to know it. And I like that they bring him into it and pull that character into this universe more.
Yeah, he gets his own adventure.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I will say it's a nice thing to, I guess, see that.
It's a
Loose
good connection
ends-
without it being like you have to know.
Yeah,
That's
it was like when Hera pushes over the Infinity Gauntlet in Thor Ragnarok.
oh hello.
Hela, not yeah. What did I say?
Hera is
Hera.
a Greek god.
that's
Yes.
Zeus's wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wrong gods.
That's one thing I really do enjoy about the MCU is they are really good about the way that they tie in everything.
I very much disagree, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay. I guess
They do a good job this time.
my least favorite part. It's not. I guess would be that you don't really know Winwoo's like reasoning for anything till halfway through the movie. So
I
like
had that problem with Princess Bride.
it's fair, but like because he says he like hears his wife's voice calling to him, and you're like, what? And then you don't find out till like the last third of the movie when he actually hears it, and you're like, oh, he's not crazy, okay, or he is,
yeah.
but
Oh, he's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, by the way.
and then the cool action figure of the Death Dealer is the blue ninja in the movie. I mean, he's not really a ninja, but I think it's a cool design. Completely like never seen again because Sword Arm guy is more on screen more. I don't know. I just think he looks
Razor
really cool.
Fist, you mean?
I said Sword Arm.
Yeah, it's
Whatever.
just on the car that
Yeah,
they drive.
there's I just don't. I don't really think that makes as much sense because it's definitely not a razor. But
It's definitely more than his fist.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like sword
How are you gonna
forearm,
judge that
dude.
man? He
It
might
is
shave his
like a
face every
forearm.
morning with that.
I love it when he breaks off the piece of the sword and just puts it on his arm.
yeah. I do like that part.
He was all of the comedic relief I needed in that movie. I did not need. Now, granted, I'm not about Aquafina because she was a main character, but like Trevor was shoehorned in for comedy. I just needed Razor Fist.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a fairly serious Marvel movie.
I feel like
liked
Trevor
it.
was fine. I don't think that he was great or a bad part per se. I think that
My biggest
he.
issue is they just forgot about him in the third act.
Yeah. That's
I
true.
mean, there's not really
he was
much else
playing
to
dead.
do. I appreciate
They're
that
like,
he
"Oh, he's
doesn't just
playing
keep
dead."
keep interrupting the movie.
You mean like the shoehorned white guy in Black Panther?
Oh yeah, Ross. Yes,
So, Katie, what was your least favorite part?
you said Morris, right?
Yeah, well, I said Trevor because I fucked up, but yeah, Morris. That was
I liked Morris.
He's funny, but you can tell it's aimed at the kids that are there for.
They needed
Marvel
some
movies.
way to get them into that place without having it be like, oh, well, they're doing the exact same thing as their dad.
Yeah,
I feel like he was
an
a good
actual
segue
map.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like he was a decent segue for that. Although it would have been a lot better, I feel, if they had been like, oh, here's this dude. Like earlier on, they were like, here's Morris. Or like talking about how they remember this thing from their childhood that was like an imaginary friend. They thought it was or something because they talk about him missing her and
yeah. There was
like,
some tie-in.
Or maybe somebody from like the village he had captured.
Yeah,
like, or something.
like that. Just
Not just here's this weird.
wish they would have put
Pig
it in
chicken thing.
earlier to make more sense later instead of just being like, oh, he's just kind of shoved in. But
Yeah, I wish I knew the names of all the like magical creatures in Talo, but I would butcher them, so I'm just not gonna attempt
Pig
it.
chicken.
Yeah, that's what she does. She does call that in the movie. But we already kind of covered this. But best fight scene, I said scaffolding fight.
Man.
I stand by that.
You know, I'm gonna go.
I
slightly
also
after
think
the
so.
Scaffolding fight. I'm gonna call it the scene with the neon background.
Oh,
fight,
the fight with the
So
death
cool.
dealer. Yeah.
and then the really quick part that's like Old Boy
Oh, and the bus.
on the bus.
Yeah, I didn't think of Old Boy when that happened because I was thinking of Daredevil because they do long takes as well in that show.
Even though the Daredevil was paying homage to the.
I mean, long takes have been done.
I mean,
like,
I'm just saying, but the hallway long take in an action scene. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I'll do the Old Boy episode by myself.
yes, you will.
I don't think I can convince anyone.
I'll just do Daredevil by myself. Talk about all 3 seasons.
I hate that movie.
We can leave it there. Put a pen in it.
What's your favorite fight scene, Corey?
Mine was the scaffolding as well. I really love that scene. Or actually, yeah, I really love that scene.
Mine, I know I said it, but that bus scene, that was just, it sold me on it the way it was done. But I also, and I know I kind of talked about this before the
I love
episode.
The end of the bus scene.
He's using his jacket to fight, and it's really cool because you get glimpses to realize that it's the same jacket he wears later in the movie, and it's just reversible. So it starts off, he's wearing
well, he
this
is a valet.
red-
He probably
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's wearing this red and gray jacket, and then as he's fighting, and you see him twisted around the guy's arm, right? And you see the
The
other side of
inside.
it's the blue and gold, and so then when they get to
Macau.
thank you, he's now got it flipped, and he's wearing the blue and gold.
It's
so
like
I just thought
it's
it
like
was
the dress.
cool.
Is it blue and gold or
black and blue or white and gold.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a cool, neat like detail that they put in there. But yeah, that fight scene is so cool, and I was immediately sold after that. I was like, I don't care what else happens in this movie. That was awesome.
It was really cool.
I also don't think I have a pick for like overtly worst fight scene.
I would agree with that. All of the fight scenes are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I also really like any fight involving the sister. I thought was also really amazing.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the sister, this is her first ever acting gig.
She does an amazing
Yeah.
job.
She really does.
She's a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, she's gonna have a great career. She also apparently, I think, met her husband on set of the movie. So
really
Good for her.
yeah, sounds like it's
All good
turned out
things.
good for her so
Can I
far.
just say, like, as cheesy as it is, I love when stuff like that happens on the set of movies. I think
Okay,
it's such a
I know you
cute-
guys don't watch the show, but It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Charlie Day, he's obsessed with the waitress,
Okay.
and they're actually married.
In
like
real
in real life.
I
And
love
in
that
the
stuff.
show, they're like, you fucking creep. I don't know why you're stalking me.
And she's like,
You did this. There's an
So there's
entire
like-
episode
she-
dedicated to him making a musical. At the end of it, he proposes to her, and she goes, no, we're not even fucking dating. Why
So
are you
there's,
so
like,
obsessed with me?
There's no, like,
but they were
Out.
married in real life by that time.
Yeah.
but their characters, they have, like, absolutely zero chemistry as his characters.
Not only
That's
that-
even better.
Not
One of
only
one of my
that-
favorite lines she has is, Charlie, we could be the last 2 people on Earth, and I would kill myself before I would date you. The human species deserves to die versus continuing your genes.
That's
And they're
pretty good.
married in real life.
Yeah.
Oh my
They're
God.
still
And
on.
he's a writer on the show.
Oh yeah, he wrote all of her
He's
lines.
fantastic.
Yeah. But anyway, I love that kind of stuff too.
I say, I know it's cheesy, but it's such a meet cute, and you're just like, good for them.
Yeah, I wish something like that happened to me. No, my boyfriend showed up 2 hours late to our first date.
And you're still here.
Yeah.
What does that say more about?
It means that I love you more than I hated waiting.
Just waited there.
That's
Your friend
fucking
was there.
disgusting.
That's absolutely true. She worked there.
Next.
Yeah, so I guess we can kind of segue into, since we talked about the Sister Zhaoling favorite or best performance.
Besides
Best-
Aquafina?
Best performance was the dad.
Yeah, Tony Leung.
Yeah.
Favorite performance was Aquafina, but I'm an Aquafina simp. Okay?
We stan her.
I don't actually.
We stan her in this
not
house, Kurt.
I think she's cute. I mean, she is very attractive, but she is so funny.
She is so
She is
fucking
so
There's
funny.
something so attractive about humor, though. For the non-visual watchers. Corey just gestured to Kurt. I guess I'm gonna butcher it, but Simu?
Yep, Simu Liu.
Because first off, I have to hand it the fact, I don't know how many years ago it was, but he freaking tweeted at Marvel, like, so, when are we going to talk about Shang-Chi? And then it happened, and he got to be Shang-Chi, and I think he does a great job in it, and he's freaking hilarious on Twitter, and, as we know, I am the avid TikTok user, although Corey's coming up, and when the movie came out, and everybody was talking about it, and making all these TikToks and shit, and he's commenting on stuff, especially for all these girls are like fucking simping for Shang-Chi, and he's like, so this is awkward. But
yeah.
I think he does a really good job on it, and he did a lot of his own stunts too, didn't he?
He did, yes.
Yeah.
Which, this was also his first major movie. He had done like minor parts, did some stock photos.
The stock photo edits are freaking
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, yes, I remember.
I love the one where he's pointing at the computer and somebody edited the rings onto his art.
But yeah, he's done the show Convenience, which I have not watched,
really
but
wanna see that.
I've heard it's good. Which actually one of the actors in that just got cast as Uncle Iroh in the Avatar,
Oh,
and he's
hell
like
yeah.
that's honestly like perfect casting. The rest of the show might not be great, but
He's really the most important part of that show.
yeah,
We'll
which
have to do
which-
a Legend of Last Airbender.
the Legend of the Last Airbender.
Yeah, just trying to lay back movie. We'll have to do
Well, we could actually tie it back into Shang-Chi because the actor who's playing Zuko is Katie's brother in the breakfast scene.
The kid.
He's playing Zuko in the show, so
And he gave a stand-up performance in this.
Yeah,
so
it
his
is
whole,
all-
like,
four
quite
lines.
memorable
he
for-
genuinely he was for like the
He-
4 seconds
he
he's
was-
on the screen.
Yeah.
he's at least
true.
got some pretty good comedic like timing, but whether or not he can do
His matched Aquafina.
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna
it
say
was
their
great.
chemistry on screen was
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
good.
I mean, they were
They go off of
perfect
each
as
other pretty well.
They were great as siblings. I mean,
They were.
even though he was on the screen.
Also,
so
they do a really good job of. They did a really good job of casting people who actually look like family. Like it's just not random
those
Asian
two
person,
kids-
random Asian person.
Those two kids who, when they're like the real young kids, they look like siblings, and they could be. I have not fact checked this, and I'm not trying to be racist.
They genuinely
and
look like siblings.
the
The
kids.
main character and the sister, I feel like, also look like siblings
Yeah.
as adults.
But we'll say also the kids
They look like your mom.
actually look like Simu Liu.
Yeah.
Like it's close enough that you're like, I could believe these are actually him.
Yeah.
Marvel's pretty good about that, though, about their casting for younger
Well, and
characters.
I mean, like, it is so unfortunate that people don't know the difference between Asians.
Man, I was watching.
That's why I think it's so interesting because they do such a good job of they actually look like siblings. It's
Yeah.
not just like Asian people,
What's
and
that?
they look like their mom. They look like their dad.
What's that one movie where the Morgan Freeman meme? What if we used 100% of our brain?
Lucy.
Lucy. So I was watching Lucy, and
I can't believe I remembered that.
we were watching it at work, and I can't remember why I was so fixated on the fact that they were in Korea, and they're talking, and they're all supposed to be Korean, but I could tell some of them looked more Samoan, some of them looked Chinese,
They're just like
And I'm
they
just
all
like,
look
this-
Asian enough, and
this
this movie
feels
did a
a
great
little
job of not
racist.
doing that.
Yeah.
They're like, good job. It wasn't Scarlett Johansson leading that, too.
Yes.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, I mean, they
That
cast
was that's the
ScarJo for everything.
That was such a bad movie. I just want to. I hope that's not a hot take. That movie sucked.
Yeah,
Hey,
it was not
we did
good.
promise hot takes.
Oh.
Corey, didn't she have?
Can we save that?
Yeah, the hot takes
You wanna
are all
save it?
pinned.
Okay.
Yeah. But somebody did make a great joke online, or actually it was a meme, how progressive Marvel was having all Asian leads this year for Marvel movies, because I got Shang-Chi, Scarlett Johansson, and Eternals as Jim and Chen. So
Oh my god.
So
A+.
This is
Yeah.
something I
Johansson.
actually really want to talk about. It. I think Ben Kingsley does not count, but when you're watching Black Panther, there's the obvious white guy shoo-in who's there because they were worried people wouldn't go see a movie without a white guy on the poster.
There is a guy at your work who will not watch movies unless it does not have a brother, as he says in it.
Okay, Houston is also a 6'11" former bouncer,
People are so
basketball
scared of him,
player.
but he's like a teddy bear.
But that also plays into like,
and I'm
because
just so
like
proud of him.
Representation is very important.
yeah, opening weekend for Black Panther. I think you and I went the day after it came out.
yeah, that was not a good idea because
Oh,
we
it was a
only got like
horrible
front
idea.
row seating.
Yeah, so we went and we tried to go to one showing, and it was, I don't know, like maybe 30 minutes before, and it was totally sold out.
Except for like 2 seats, and I think maybe the
No,
second row.
We had to come back, we bought tickets to come back later, and the only seats available were literally the very front row in front of the screen, and this was like slightly before reclining seats were such a huge deal in theaters, so we were like pushing these seats back.
No, I think that they were recliners.
No, it was before they had been renovated out there.
That would be weird if they had to do reserve seating without reclining seats.
I think they did because it was such a big movie.
No.
But I don't think they had the reclining seats all the way at the front.
Sam works there.
No,
Right.
not at this one. We
Oh.
went
But it's
after
the same
Summit.
company.
But it was before they had been bought out.
Wait,
No, it was. They were brought out.
Were they?
Yes,
Because when did it come out? Was it 2018 or 17?
2018.
Either way, we were
They'd
all
been
the way
out
in the
by-
front.
bought
I
out a
remember
long
us
time
having
ago.
to push the seats back because we weren't all totally reclined.
They reclined, but
Regardless,
regardless,
opening weekend, freaking packed because representation is important.
But I think Disney being able to take the risk of not having to have that one white shoo-in guy. Mind you, we're all pretty white. I'm a little Asian, but we're all pretty white here.
Yeah, well,
But even I'm gonna
not
complain.
pretty. We are.
I'm gonna complain about it because for real, that's what he felt like, and it was nice to have without that shoo-in. That's the guy to get the white people to go.
Well, they
see
had
it.
2 white dudes in Black Panther. I can't remember.
Yeah, but one of them didn't feel forced. I'm not
Andy
the British
Serkis,
guy.
yeah,
Andy Serkis felt
and then
good.
Martin Freeman or
Yeah,
Everett
Martin
Ross, I
Freeman.
think is his character's name. I know it's Ross, but I can't remember his first
Yeah,
name.
because he was the
It's-
officer or whatever you want to call
Which he
him.
is a character in the Black Panther comic books, but it feels so weird how they introduce him into the movie.
Yeah,
that-
he didn't really need to be in this one.
yeah,
Or in Black
because
Panther, sorry.
he's supposed to be like how you see Wakanda, but you've already seen Wakanda for the first half of the movie, so it's
It
weird.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't needed.
I have not seen it. I do not have an opinion.
No, I definitely think representation matters, and so this is right after Chadwick Boseman died. I was watching an interview, and it was this father, and he's like, I don't think I understand how much he meant to me. My son went to see the movie, and he's like, hey, Dad, that looks like you. It's like, he looks like you. And I never thought about that, because...
It's like the first African American Disney princess, Tiana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Naveen, having Naveen.
Yeah, that was a big, big, big deal.
It's a big step.
Yeah. When it takes place in a time where that was not so okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when it was released, of course, it's fine. But it takes place in a time where that kind of stuff was not okay. And it was weird. It would have been weird in the 1920s to have a best friend who's white.
Yeah.
And for that to be okay and like shown to be okay to children is a big deal, even if it shouldn't be.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's important that you feel represented. It's important that there is a princess that looks like you, or
yeah.
a
And-
superhero who looks like you.
Well, let's face it, this is a room full of people who have never had to worry about that. And so to think that, now we have Shang-Chi and there's this whole other, generation of kids.
Who are going to
Now
grow
have
up
it.
with...
Well,
Yeah.
I think the cool part is like kids born today, they're growing up with Shang-Chi, Black Panther, all of these characters, and I don't know how to name two, but
But they're
they're
important.
growing up I remember us growing up, especially Sam and I talked to my friends like, man, I could never think about a Marvel movie. My older friends, Sam and I, Marvel movies, man, that's what we saw in theaters.
Yeah.
We got
but
good comic book movies.
yeah, speaking of the representation, and on Disney Plus, they have a show called Assembled, where it's like the Marvel behind the scenes show.
Mhm.
They have one for Shang-Chi, which I highly recommend if you like the movie. In the very beginning of it, Simu Liu gives a story before he was an actor. He used to dress up in costumes for kids' parties, but he could only dress up as Spider-Man because there's no Asian superheroes.
He had to wear a mask.
And,
God.
yeah.
Oh,
So now that he gets to be a superhero who doesn't wear his mask is also pretty cool. So
yeah, that is
Awesome.
pretty cool.
But and this is really anecdotal, but I think it's more funny than anything. I feel like kids today don't understand a lot of it because I remember we were supposed to do like a wax museum in elementary school, and this poor white kid wanted to be Jackie Robinson and didn't understand.
I remember you telling me that
That might be
story.
a little problematic, which I think is wonderful because
Yeah.
it's a hilarious story. That
It's like that one picture you see on Reddit every once in a while where it's like, my kid wanted the same haircut as his best friend, so the teacher can't tell them apart, and one of them is African American and his poor kid is white as he can be, and they have the same haircut, and they're standing there like, the teacher can't tell us apart. It's so funny. It's like, oh honey.
It's the pureness of kids.
It is
that
so pure.
They can't. They
You
don't know
just
the
don't know, yeah,
difference.
and-
It doesn't matter
And
to
it's
them.
good. It's so good. Kurt and I talk about this a lot, but a good character who is of any kind of race means that that race is not their defining character. Unless the movie is about their race, like a period piece or a piece that's supposed to take place in like China,
Yeah.
where that would be the prominent. Huh?
This movie's a kind of a great example.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a great character without it having to be about his culture.
Yeah.
They do a really great job about that.
which
And I think that's an important job because it means that to be a good person, you don't have to be all out into your character. You don't have to be this one particular kind. Be whoever you want to be. You're just a normal person like everybody else.
All right, you guys. So this I don't even know if this
Kurt's
comment
just
is-
stealing my gig, but that's fine.
No. Okay, for real. But I don't know if this is a question that Katie and Sam can really comment on. But so this movie explored a lot of things like the yin and the yang, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these very cultural ideas of parenthood and fatherships that are very abnormal to us
As Americans.
As Americans, do you guys think it did? Do you guys think in general it did a very good job exploring a lot of these very non-American ideas?
I would say yes, maybe on a surface level or not super deep where it gets in the way of the plot of the movie, I guess. Like when it was all about tradition and it's kind of his defining characteristic in a way.
Yeah.
Like how he talks about how names are sacred, and then he talks about the Mandarin, which is a great scene.
And how he's stuck on his wife.
Yes.
It's just all about the past.
Yeah, which reference.
I think it does a pretty good job of not overloading you all at once, like you said, without getting away of the plot. They do a really great job about it. There's a lot of things that I feel like are laced in it that you don't really understand unless you know about it beforehand.
Like with the parents of Shang-Chi, like the yin and the yang, the point is that they balance each other, but that there's good in the bad and there's bad in the good. And so, like, when you look at the husband, the father, when he had his wife, that was the good and the bad. He was a good person. And not right, I don't think they did a good job exploring if he was,
a bad person or
she
whatever.
didn't have any evil, but I think...
We only got such a brief glimpse of her.
Yeah. But by having this kind of balance, I think that completely explored that, at least for me.
No person... People aren't 2D.
Yeah.
I also feel like they do a good job of exploring relationships and how cultures play a lot into the way that you view relationships. Shout out to her if she's listening to it. Hey Casey, I love you so much. Haven't seen you in forever. She lived, that poor girl, she was 6. She's 6 fucking 4. She looks a lot like me, but imagine me, but 6'4".
Tall girl confirmed.
Hot.
Yeah, right? Different things. She lived and taught in Japan for a long, long time. And she was telling me about some really interesting, kind of like cultural differences. It's pretty common for specifically. Yeah, that one.
All you do is switch the S and the
it just isn't there.
We know.
Shut the fudge up. I don't want to talk about that right now with Katie. Anyway.
We're in a good mood, Kurt. Don't ruin it.
It's pretty unfortunately common that fathers are not a part of their child's life because the primary target to be a father is that you're supporting your family. So in supporting them, you're doing everything that you can, and you're not a part of their life because you're too busy trying to make it happen. And I feel like I don't feel like it's particularly intentional in it, but I feel like it explores that aspect of more Eastern cultures that we don't really see here, because family priority is a really big deal here. Oh. And it's a big deal there, it's just in such a different way. It's very interesting to me.
I think another thing that's, it's really interesting is the differing perspectives that a lot of people go in with this movie. Like, for example, people who grew up with the Asian American experience will probably view this differently than the people who grew up with an American versus
white American. It's okay to say it.
Yeah, white American versus
or any other kind of American.
Yeah,
if you're not an Asian American, you probably are viewing it differently than an Asian American.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting how some things, like, for example, like when there's the scene where the dad goes and kills the guy who killed the mom, and I think they wanted you to hate the dad in that. I couldn't find myself at all because I have never been raised the whole eye for an eye makes the whole world blind thing. I've never really raised with that as a tenet of my...
Yeah, that's something they say a couple of times is...
blood for blood.
Yeah, blood for blood.
A blood debt must always be paid in by blood. Yep. Or by blood. So, man, I butchered that again. Ugh.
That's all right.
That scene definitely didn't do the effect of making the dad seem evil to me.
Well,
I don't really feel like it did either.
I think that's what makes him a good villain is he's very, very relatable. Like, what wouldn't you do to get a loved one back? It's not entirely evil.
No.
Also, law-abiding citizen. It's the whole part of the movie.
I mean, I haven't seen that, so... But,
it's on the list.
Okay.
And once again, to reference the assembled episode about this, they talk about when Wu uses the rings, you see his veins glowing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to symbolize he's addicted to the rings.
Yeah, and I can't remember what we watched, but they talk about the fact he always harbors them on his body.
Yeah, they're always pulled up,
they give
powered up.
Shang-Chi lets them
flow around. It was also the same thing with the fighting styles. Like, he was using such an aggressive closed fist fighting style. Unlike when he's attacking his dad, he's only attacking, but yet he learned from his mom that it's more about redirecting.
Well, at the beginning portion, when he's fighting his dad for the first portion of the ending, he starts to lose because he's being too aggressive. He's fighting in the same kind of style that his father is, and he lets his anger take over.
Exactly.
And then he remembers to redirect, and that's a really good part. Yeah.
Sorry, I cut everything. You off.
No, you're good.
That's good.
And then, referencing that behind the scenes again, they talk about the two styles. For Wenwu, they used Wing Chun as his martial arts, which, if you're a big fan of the Ip Man movies, you'll know. Or actually study martial arts. I just know it from that one, and that's the style that Bruce Lee was taught under.
You mean you don't want to talk about your 2 years of karate, or however long it was?
That doesn't count, and that's a different
style.
Different style.
Joke.
She's just saying, shouldn't you know from that there's different styles?
Yes.
I was teasing.
But and then for Tao Lo, their style is based off of Tai Chi, which is why it's so movement based and about counter attack, or not, I guess counter attacks, but redirecting and using your
it's a lot more
energy.
Graceful too.
Yes.
Also, this is really random, but you know how he kind of has a flow to it. flow like water, my friend's famous Bruce Lee quote, but when they use their teleportation magic, it's water-based versus the sorcerers, which is fire-based, even though it's the exact same, looks really similar.
Something else that I would like to point out at this part that we're talking about is whenever Aquafina is leaving the house and I can't remember what the mom says to her, but she goes, "Don't forget you're American too."
Okay, I can't remember what she says that about.
I can't remember either, but I felt like that was a really important part.
She was talking about how she doesn't move on. Moving on is an American thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, "Don't forget you're
American too."
It's okay to accept both.
Yeah, it's okay to accept both. It's okay to have...
You don't have to be one or the other. Both of them makes you who you are.
Exactly.
And you're allowed to
That's what
to do
so
what
much of the
leads
movie
you.
is about. That's what that whole fighting scene where he learns to use both at the same time is about.
But yeah, which is what his aunt tries to teach him is you could a legacy of all those who come before you. Which,
Can I also just say I really like the scene between him and his aunt.
Yes, that scene's great.
And then there's the part with his mom where they do like the flashback and his mom is telling him, "I make you who you are, your father makes you who you are, you make you who you are."
You know, the more I think about this movie, the more I like it. I ain't even gonna fuck with you guys.
Same.
Yeah, it's
I quite a bit enjoyed it.
easily in my top 5 of this year, which, I mean, it's not surprising. There's
I would say it cracks my top 3 favorite Marvel movies.
It was, and I'm gonna steal a quote from a friend, but it was such a refreshing Marvel movie because, and I'm a huge Marvel fan. There's very few of their movies that I don't have a strong love for, but this one was just so different, and there are parts of it that it genuinely just does not feel like a Marvel movie, and that's totally okay.
Damn, it's almost a perfect segue to our next question.
I know.
Yeah.
I tried to set that up for us.
That was a nice segue. That was a nice
We're getting good at this.
So,
Are we?
does this feel like the other Marvel movies?
Yes.
Pieces of it do.
Like, it feels like a Marvel movie with good stunt choreography. And
I like, yes, there are some, I guess if you want to call them fantasy aspects as far as, like, the rings, obviously. But that wasn't the sole focus, and I'm going to use Iron Man for lack of a better example, because...
That works because the Ten Rings appear in those movies.
Yeah. Do they?
Yes. That's who kidnaps Tony in the very first Iron Man movie is the Ten Rings.
Didn't realize that.
Yep. That's because the Mandarin is a Iron Man villain predominantly in the comic books.
Shit. I'm the big Iron Man fan in this room. But as much as I love Iron Man, he's a guy in a fancy suit who flies around and shoots laser beams, and yeah, he gets to be, like, essentially, he turns himself into a superhero. And the flip side of that being in Shang-Chi, where it's a guy who is really fucking good at martial arts. And yes, there's the fantasy aspect that comes into it, which is nice and it's fun, but that's not the main focus every time he's on the screen.
I don't know, Iron Man 1, man. Watching Tony, like, that movie is just Iron Man versus the Taliban.
It's so good, though.
Yes, it's very set in its time when it came out.
Yeah, 2008.
Not that saying I don't like it, but it's like, oh, it's a good updating for his story, as he originally was created for the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So it's a good update to do it for the war that was currently going on at that time.
Well, maybe a better example would be Thor, who actually has, well, I mean, powers.
Yes, Thor sucked until he was funny.
That's true.
And all
Thanks,
that was
Taika.
because, well, it started with their little spoof that they created during Civil War, because they're like, oh yeah, what's Thor up to during this? And
him and his roommate.
Oh, I got a roommate, and everybody's like, oh, we like quirky Thor. And then...
Well, that's just because the first 2 movies didn't work, and Chris Hemsworth is like, we need to reinvent this so it does work. Would you like to go, Corey?
I would like to go, because this is where my mild hot take comes in. Okay, so y'all know I'm not a super huge superhero movie fan. There is just like a gaggle of superhero movies that I like. I generally like movies, just like most of the time when we watch movies, I like it. Even the really bad ones that I think are a waste of my time, I like it the first time. I never ever want to watch it again, and that's why I say it's a skip it. But pretty generally, my day-to-day, I like movies. When it comes to superhero movies, I like more DC movies than I do. Yeah, no.
How can you like them when you can't see them?
Excuse me? Excuse me?
She's making a joke about how dark they are. I think.
Katie's just blind.
No,
I
they're
think
so
Katie's also
visually
blind.
dark. That is one of the biggest complaints about DC movies.
I'm still gonna say that you're blind. This is just
It
proof to
depends
me.
on which one, but I can see
Anyway,
that
there
complaint.
there's not even a whole ton of them that I personally really like. There's a couple of them and that's really it. This feels like one of the like 4 DC movies that I actually like done as a Marvel movie.
Corey just pissed off every Marvel fan ever.
I know.
surely hope
I was
so.
I was telling Sam on the car ride when we got some Taco Bell before this. I'm like, Corey has a hot take, and I'm nervous.
Okay, so
It's fine.
I need... How?
What are your 3 DC movies? We'll just edit it.
So, Shazam, Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey. The good Suicide Squad. The new one.
Okay.
The one that was worth it. I just bought a Peacemaker shirt today. I was so excited about that. I saw it and I was like, hell yeah.
She did text about it earlier.
She did. But I feel like the fight scenes in those 3 movies are done really, really well. And I feel like they are done similarly because something that I have a problem with in a lot of superhero movies is that and it makes sense most of the time, where they go to the fight and then they're just like, oh wow, now we're fighting, this is crazy. And it's like, we just had a 10-minute scene of you talking about how you guys are gonna go fight this guy. Come on. But I often feel like they are not fluid with the movie. Like, you have talking scenes and you have action scenes. And I feel like in those movies, it's done really well where they flow into each other. You don't just have like this like jutted
The action is part of the story instead of
separate.
Yep.
And I feel like this movie does that really well.
I can agree with you on that point, because if you watch the Black Widow movie, the action is so...
Or Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron to extent, yeah, it's kind of weird. But like, if you watch the new Black Widow, or the only Black Widow movie, the action just feels so different to like the rest of the movie, because there'll be just scenes of like people talking and like in rooms about like important stuff, and then the final part of the movie is her skydiving off a giant sky base in the sky, and you're just like, this doesn't feel like the same like grounded movie about like human trafficking, which is basically like the subject of that movie.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I really like that about this movie, and I feel like those movies capture it really, really well, and I feel like most superhero movies don't.
You know, I want to go back to the first Iron Man movie, because so in that one, it's Tony versus the Taliban, and it was really good. But there's that scene right when he gets his first suit where he like marks the guys and takes them out and just blows up the tank with an arm missile. But then when you have Tony fighting a bunch of aliens and it's all CG, I don't like care so much. It's cool. I like it.
It doesn't feel as...
I'm a simp for it, but that doesn't mean I can't say that there's issues with DC. It's a lot more ground. That's why I don't like the Superman movies.
Yeah.
There will never be a good Superman movie that's not cheesy.
I think it can be done well. It just hasn't. That's when you get Zack Snyder as your director. That's my hot take on those movies, is Zack Snyder's not a good director.
Okay, but the Batman fight scene,
It's great up until Batman kills people.
that's fine. I don't care.
I don't like Batman killing. I don't like it. It's not part of his character.
It's not kosher.
Not kosher.
I'm a huge
But-
Batman fan. I love the Zack Snyder.
But
Batman
that's
hot
my portion of the hot take, is that the way that the storytelling is done is more reminiscent of those movies than it is of other Marvel movies. And maybe that's why it feels so different to some people.
take. I also feel like it's the fact that it's people fighting. Like, Sam and I could just punch each other and we're like, well, we're Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, sorry.
Shang-Chi.
I can't
Don't piss off the rest of the audience,
That-
Kurt.
You do have a lisp, so we can only be
Yeah,
so
I was
angry at
gonna
you.
say, I'm so sorry. I dread saying the name of this movie with my list.
Yeah, I guess for my answer for this question would be it does feel like other Marvel movies. It hits the similar beats. They are a little formulaic, a little
The formula.
Yes, which is, if you've got something that works and makes you billions of dollars every time you make a movie,
If it ain't broke,
why would
Because you have people like Katie who will watch it no matter what. Yeah, it doesn't.
There's no
it doesn't
argument to that.
necessarily mean that
I
it's
still
good.
enjoy
It
it.
just means.
Well, exactly. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think that I think at least, and this movie gives me a little bit of hope, but this is my hot take. If DC continues their track record, and I know they won't because it's DC, but here's
Yeah.
the thing. The Suicide Squad, we got the Batman coming up, that's going to be good.
Do we
Oh.
know it's gonna be good?
I have so
the
much
test
faith.
screenings for it have been very positive.
I have so much faith in the lead.
Robert
I don't care.
Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson can sell a role for me anything.
And he's a
Robert
good actor.
He is a very good
Pattinson
actor.
is the correct name.
But
He is. He doesn't get enough
I
credit.
can appreciate that joke.
You're welcome.
but they
Nobody
take
else
so
heard
much
it.
risk with those movies, and I feel like
They're
they're
paying
starting
off.
to pay off. Like the risks are starting to pay off more than not. Especially now that Zack Snyder's out of DC
Well,
movies.
I also
Except for
feel like
Aquaman's gonna flop because they kept Amber Heard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fuck
Man.
that. I have so many.
yeah, we
And
won't get into
things
that.
I can say.
There's so many bad feelings about that, man.
They also failed us on Wonder Woman 1984, and I'm not gonna
See,
get over that.
That was the one where I feel like they tried something and it failed. But did I ever know it was going to happen during that movie? No.
The problem with it for me is they didn't stick to one thing. You started it off as this cheesy 80s movie vibe, and it was great. And then we're like, but no, we gotta get into our normal DC dark shit. And then they couldn't decide what the hell they were doing.
There was also a lot of studio interference in that movie, which I think from Shang-Chi and any good movie is let the directors actually make
Do
the
their
movie.
job. Yeah.
That's why you hire them.
Yes,
You don't hire Wes Anderson.
to not make a Wes Anderson movie.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Or James
Yeah.
Gunn on the Suicide Squad. That was
Yeah.
a James Gunn movie
Yeah.
as a DC movie. And that's my issue with Marvel is it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Like, you don't,
I have that
like,
issue
don't
quite a
know,
bit.
James Gunn. I love Guardians more than I love any other.
Mhm,
I've said
mhm.
Guardians 2 will make me cry any
I like
day.
those.
It feels like a James Gunn movie with a Marvel coat of paint and not a Marvel movie. And I love Marvel. I really do.
Excuse you. I heard that little.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. That was-
But that's. I also feel like Marvel movies, while they do have the if it ain't broke, don't fix it, they all feel very similar. Like 90% of the movies are the same movie with different people.
Which is probably why Eternals has flopped at the box office. Because that movie was dead on arrival. As somebody who worked at a theater, it never was super busy. Shang-Chi, like the first day was a little slow, and then I think everybody was like, oh, this is a good movie, go see it.
Woo.
And it was like one of our busier days.
Although I'll admit the Marvel formula and the quippiness works so well in Spider-Man.
Yes. It works for certain characters, for some it doesn't.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
Spider-Man,
I also
though,
don't
it's-
like how as we progress in like this series of movies and they keep adding more movies to the universe, which is fine if you want to build a universe. I just feel like when you keep adding things to it, I feel like they make people very the same. It's like they're growing as a person, and then it's like now they're all just the same person in slight variants.
Well, you have to keep in
Everybody's
mind
quippy.
that these are, I mean, for the most part, well, not for the most part, the characters are all based off of comic books. This is how they were written. And now we're just putting them to screen.
This is how they were written. Sam gave Katie the worst side eye I've ever seen him give anyone.
Okay.
But
I
Why did you be called out like that?
I mean, I don't think I
Yes and
did.
no.
Yeah. I mean, that also depends on the writer for the movies and comic books.
Yes.
But when you look at stuff like Drax, comics versus, movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very different.
I feel like they're all have. I think it's good that you have characters evolve, but it feels like instead of like evolving into their own person, they're all evolving into one giant superhero with just like limbs sticking out of him. It's
We're gonna
great.
get a fucking Megazord next movie.
Yeah.
I think that might also have been due to the fact that Joss Whedon was the director on the first two Avengers movies, so everybody saw those. They made a lot of money, and they're like, that's how you make a Marvel movie. It's a bunch of one-liners and quips.
and then they've never changed it up because it still makes billions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
I can't blame them if you're making that kind of money.
why would
Fuck
you
it.
change it?
Oh no, I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying like Doctor Strange gives me a lot of hope.
So why do you blame me for not liking Marvel movies if we can agree that that's a good reason not to like Marvel movies?
You had fun with this, right?
I'm not saying
we
that
don't have a visual.
I'm not.
You're going very Italian right now.
So I generally like 90% of the time when I watch one and it's the first one or two of the Marvel movies, I'm like, oh, I like this. I like this. I like that. And then it gets more. And that's when I start to dislike it. So if we can agree that they have a problem with that, then why do we all judge me so hard on having that problem?
Here.
Well, hang on. I have to. Which Marvel movies have you seen that way? Because, I mean, there are objectively bad ones.
Yeah, I mean,
just
like,
look at the list of them.
Thor Dark
Corey
World,
liked
not
Thor,
good.
Corey liked Thor Dark World.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That one's bad.
It's so bad.
He liked Dark World.
I did? I don't know which one
you
that
told me
is.
You like the Thor movies.
It's the second Thor movie.
It's the one where he's in London and there's spaces opening up or something.
It's not good.
I don't think I have seen that one then.
I think the issue is with it. You have to sit through what I like to call the Age of Ultron era of Marvel movies.
There are missed opportunities with Age of Ultron.
With Age of Ultron,
I feel like I have to watch 6 movies just to watch one of them, which is a disappointment.
Age of Ultron, Iron Man 2,
You see,
the Hulk.
I feel like
Thor
I have
1,
to.
Thor 2.
It's like, when we were talking earlier and Kurt mentioned that I had gotten upset that I didn't understand what felt like an important part, and then they explained it later, and I was like, I recess what I was angry about earlier. Great. I feel like most of the movies don't do that, though. They're like, oh, here's this part that you should know. I don't know, because I didn't see that other movie.
but that's the thing is, with something like this, I would say the majority of watchers have started from the beginning, so they have seen all of it. So I would say it's kind of
to be
like
able
you're a
to-
rare circumstance to come in on just one movie and then go, oh wait, there's references to the other
But if
ones.
this is the first movie you've ever watched, not necessarily this one, because this one does a good job of explaining the reference that they had.
Yeah.
The other ones don't. If that's the first one you've ever watched, then you're lost.
Okay,
But that's what I'm
well,
saying is
They should have something to be able to explain it to you.
Kind of, but Spider-Man 1 does it really good. Homecoming, I think, does it perfect, actually, with the intro bit about Civil War.
I haven't seen Homecoming.
You would enjoy those too.
I would.
They're more like quirky teenager movies than they are.
But then,
With-
like, when you
with
get the
superheroes,
team-up-
yeah.
But to me, the team-up movies are the ultimate payoffs. Like, I think Endgame and
Infinity War.
Infinity War are wonderful Marvel fan movies. As movies, they're kind of bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Endgame is not the greatest movie of all
No.
time by any means, but it's like a giant
Man.
love letter to
But-
the fans.
Yeah, if you've watched for the past 10 years, then it pays off for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And so I feel like that there's like the disconnect of if you start with Endgame, yeah, you're not going to like it, but you're also it's like starting off with Harry Potter 7 Part 2. It's like,
You're
I
not
picked-
going to get the reward of being there from the beginning of the journey.
yeah.
So yes, I understand what you're saying. That like you're
I
not,
think
but you're not going to get a recap in every movie because how many movies
It's
are
not
there in the
about,
MCU?
like, necessarily needing a recap. It's about having a good movie where you don't need to see every single movie about it. You can watch a couple of the Harry Potter movies and not need to see the ones before or after and be like, this is fine.
Kurt's making a face, and I 100% agree with it.
Everything before
They're not
5,
meant to be
yes.
standalones.
Yeah.
Everything after 5, no.
Also, like,
Because 5, 6, and 7 are almost like one movie.
they also like kind of shove things into those into those movies that you're like, where did this come from?
Well,
But
if you read the books, it makes a million.
more sense.
Yeah, they cut out
But
so much
they
shit for the
do.
movies.
I know. That's why I'm like, they just kind of shove it in at that part. They're like, oh, we forgot to put this in earlier. We should have done that. Our bad. Let's put it in
I
now.
will admit, I'm starting to agree with Corey as the TV shows become plot relevant. I don't have time.
You told me about something earlier where there was an end scene that was important to the
Yes,
movie.
Spider-Man not Homecoming, Far From Home, I still have issues with the ending. I
I
remember
haven't seen
right
it,
after,
so I don't know.
Right after Sam, and I remember right after you and I got out of the movie, I was like, I liked it up until the end. But the
Oh,
after credit scenes
yeah.
being the most important plot relevant scenes, really miffed about it still 2 years later.
I'm not a big fan of that one per se, because it's like does the credits and it's like, oh, surprise, here's the actual end of the movie.
Which is not normally how
That's
their
garbage.
post-credit scenes go.
Which Shang-Chi also kind of does that with the mid-credit scene in this one, which I'm also not a huge fan of that one.
I didn't like it, but I feel like you missed the ending of Far From Home. You didn't miss the ending of this movie. Like, I think
It could end where it ended, and you'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that scene's in Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. I guess we should do our fun counters, which is a total of...
Nothing.
We don't have any, because we watched this separately.
They did a great job with the music in this one. They did a good job
One
of
bonus
taking
point for
Asian
music.
influence and American influence and combining them. It was great.
I will say they had one guy on there a lot. He's from 88 Rising, and I can't remember his name, and I'm blanking on it hard. I want to say it's Rich Brian, but he's a really famous Asian American.
I think
producer.
They did a single for the movie.
88 Rising?
I believe so. I could be 100% wrong on that, but...
No, I wouldn't be surprised. They're more of a collective, I guess, but they have, they got Filthy Frank, or Joji, I guess, but I love 88 Rising. I think they're wonderful. And I think to have, they're, the biggest Asian American music group, and they had a bunch of Rich Brian, I know that.
Yeah.
I was trying to Google how many times they say Shang-Chi and Shang-Chi in the Legends of the Ten Rings, but all they did was teach me how to pronounce Simu's name.
But
they do it a bunch of times. There you go.
Yeah,
because she makes fun of him for changing his name to Shaun.
Yeah, that is
one of the great. I will say of the flight scene on the plane. That is the only good part.
That joke is pretty good.
Oh, that joke was
Changed your name to
worthless.
Shaun.
Shaun.
Again, I think all of her jokes landed for me.
It's just that flight attendant.
That flight attendant, and then kind of the guy on the bus, but he sold it. That guy on the bus sold it.
He's fun. Also, call back to Spider-Man Homecoming. He's the guy who's like, do a flip, Spider-Man.
Yeah. I love that.
If he wasn't so charismatic, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You didn't believe he streamed stuff like this on the daily.
I
100%.
wish Marvel would release a 5-minute short of that dude's live stream of the bus scene. Just
they could have it the part in Searching where they're scrolling through all the different videos and it's just this clip bits
I
of
want
it.
to see him reacting to his
Won't
friends
start.
getting dusted. Yo! My just got dusted. You know what's up? Why is my view stream half of the way it normally is?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to face away laughing, but it was so loud.
That would be pretty great.
I would he is so he sold it for me, but if it wasn't him, I would have found it so cringy, but he sold it for me.
It was hilarious.
So
Also, the side eyes that Asian lady gives on the plane on the bus to Aquafina, she's like,
I'm
I
looking
don't know what's up with you.
I'm looking up some fun facts, and I only have a couple that I think are worth sharing. So, this is the 25th film in the MCU. The first English line isn't spoken until about 10 minutes into the movie. Aquafina trained in car drifting and archery for this movie.
It shows, and she does a great job.
She does.
yeah, I guess another quick thing about this movie, but I think also the first third of the movie is really well done, or really tightly paced. Is they had filmed everything chronologically. They had finished filming the bus scene when they had to shut down due to COVID.
Yeah.
Causing pandemics around the world. So
Panorama.
yeah,
Panorama.
which they did film this in Australia.
Oh.
Did they really?
They did. Yep.
Interessante.
I don't know if they had originally started filming there, but in the assembled episode, they say that they filmed in Australia because there were less cases down there, so they could start shooting earlier. So that's why, the first thing they filmed was the Fight Club in Macau. So that's why a lot of people are wearing face masks. And there's also a lot of mannequins, in that scene that you just can't tell because they're dressed up as people because they had to limit, the amount of people on set.
That's awesome.
I guess we should get into our recommendations.
I know what Sam's gonna say.
What's Sam gonna say?
The episode of Assembled.
I will say, if you do the behind the scenes stuff, I recommend the Assembled episode. And then I would also recommend Corridor Crew. They have a show called Stuntman React, and they have the two action designers of Shang-Chi on there. And they also have a show called Visual Effects Artist React, where they had the visual effects coordinator on the show to talk about the scenes. So I just find
cool.
which I really find behind the scenes stuff, or like all the technical stuff about a film, interesting, because I just think it's crazy that the amount of people it goes in to make a film and it comes out good
like this.
Yeah.
Like where it starts, what it looks like in the beginning and throughout it, and then where it ends is so incredibly different.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, we were watching it right before this, and I gotta say, it is
crazy.
There's one where they did the test footage with action figures.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's really fun. Like,
yeah.
It sounds like you want to enjoy it. So check it out.
Yeah. The Coeure videos are only about 17 minutes each. We didn't watch the VFX one, but that one's a little bit more technical about like visual effects stuff, and I thought that would be more boring than the stunt stuff. So
what's your actual like movie recommendation?
Movie recommendation
or TV show, I guess.
If you like good Marvel action, I would recommend either probably Captain America and the Winter Soldier, because that's, I think, still some of my favorite fighting and Marvel movies, or Daredevil, because I always recommend that show because it's my favorite, still my favorite Marvel project that they put out, and I really hope they get to introduce him into the MCU soon. So
fingers crossed for.
Fingers crossed for the alleged rumors of No Way Home that he is in it. And then I would, because it's the only older Jackie Chan movie I've seen recently, Police Story, if you like martial arts, or the Ip Man movies with Donnie Yen, because that is Wing Chun in that movie to an extent. I don't know how accurate it is, like technically, but and they do say they use some references for Donnie Yen for Shang-Chi and that. So yeah, those are my recommendations.
Cool.
Ip Man is something.
First one great, second one pretty fun, third one's bad, fourth one's super bad. Don't watch it. He fights a teenager, and they also filmed in London. Correction, they filmed in Liverpool to simulate San Francisco, and all the actors that they picked cannot do American accents. It's real bad.
Oh, but it's definitely like a drunk watch it.
You could probably have fun with that.
You have fun sober.
Yeah. But yeah. Anybody else have any recommendations? I know I just talked for about like 5 minutes about like.
We're just really proud of you for talking for so long.
Yeah, for real.
My voice is gonna be really sore.
I would say Shazam was, like I said earlier, has a lot of very similar action scenes. It also has a very similar family, and the storyline's cute and fun. It's a good watch like this one. There's another movie that I can't remember the name of that I'm trying to find, so I may have one in a moment.
I guess for me, I'd recommend the Kingsman movies. They're fun and action packed, and I don't know why I didn't think about it when we recorded like our trailer episode, but the first Kingsman movie is like one of my top 5 movies.
You mean you like it more than Back to the Future, which I still will make fun of you?
I can't believe that.
I love Back to the Future.
I can't make fun of you.
We've never heard you ever even once mention it before then.
When has it come up in conversation?
Katie is such a simp for Terrence Edgerton, it's sad.
I have no argument for that whatsoever. I'm not even going to deny it.
It just was surprising is all. Like, we're like, I didn't expect you to say that.
It's been one of my favorites for a long time. But anyway, the Kingsman movies, they're action-packed and they're fun. They do have some quirky comments. I wouldn't say they're quite the same as what you've got in Shang-Chi as far as your comedic moments. But lighthearted, it's fun. It's a good time. That's like I'm having a bad day and I need something to cheer me up, so I turn on Kingsman.
And hey, that ties into the Coeure videos, because the one of the action designers for Shang-Chi was also the action designer for Kingsman and the Golden Circle. So, way to bring it back.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna recommend Old Boy. I know we said it earlier. Action in that movie is unparalleled. It's a dark movie though. It's not.
Never
fun.
seen it. What's it about?
Don't even start. It does have some very intriguing action scenes.
The action in the movie.
You could just go look up the action scenes.
100% just watch the hallway fight. There we go. That's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend the hallway fight from Old Boy. That fight is so good.
It is very cool.
They do kind of reference it in Shang-Chi with the bus fight.
Yeah.
They talk about
when they go into the tunnel. And they talk about that in the Coeure video. See how I'm bringing it all the way back?
What I'm hearing is Sam really wants you guys to watch it.
Hey, I mean, I don't get anything out of it, but
This is the most passionate Sam has been about a review yet. Like,
that is true.
I think it's because Sam likes kung fu movies.
I do. They're a fun time.
Sam likes Marvel movies, as he's wearing a Spider-Man hat and a Marvel hoodie right now.
That is true.
What are your socks?
They're just
black. Oh,
just
dang!
Can we also...
Disappointed me on the socks.
I wore Loki socks yesterday.
Yeah, we don't need to actually high five because it's gonna sound weird and you're gonna have to cut it.
Yeah.
Sam, can we also recommend Ninja the Assassin?
I mean, I haven't watched that movie in a long time.
No, it's bad, dude.
Yeah, it was not good. I even remember watching that movie when we watched it for my birthday one year, and I was like, "This is a bad movie."
I remember...
Would you recommend Mortal Kombat?
No.
No.
I fell asleep during that one, so.
Yeah, the new one's not great.
Jackie Chan. There was a Jackie Chan movie that I can't remember the name of. No, but I love that movie. That I was gonna recommend. I looked up Jackie Chan movie. He has been in so much.
Yeah.
He has been in so much. Like I'm scrolling through this, and I'm like, oh my god.
Is it Rush Hour?
Literally, we were talking about
It's not Rush Hour, but I'm gonna recommend Rush Hour.
Those are great movies. Well, it's like we were talking about, oh, we just cast any Asian actor. They're like, oh, we want to cast an Asian actor that can do some kind of martial arts. Jackie Chan.
Yeah. Also, he's funny.
Yes.
He's good.
He is. He's another one that he basically plays himself in every movie that he's in.
And we love him for it.
Yep.
It's like Ryan Reynolds. Oh, and The Foreigner is so good, though.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah. He's just not himself in that one. That's all.
What has everybody been
enjoying this week?
Enjoying and entertaining themselves with? I don't know.
I feel bad because I got the same answer as last week. I've been playing so much Dragon Quest 11.
I also have the
Bro,
same
that game
answer
was
as
fun.
last week.
Okay.
I also have the same answer as last week.
Wow, we're such interesting people. We do so much.
All I've done is play Apex and work on my book. That is it.
I guess I can say I've watched the first episode of the Hawkeye show.
Is it any good?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I thought Jeremy Renner got kicked out of the MCU. I didn't even get
Not yet.
No,
Not yet.
People were like trying to cancel him and stuff. But...
People cancel
He's kinda
people for
deserved.
the dumbest reasons.
No, Jeremy Renner's kind of deserved. He had an app where you could only view posts from him, and you could get Jeremy Renner coins to talk to Jeremy Renner. It's the funniest
really
thing.
a thing?
This is
Yes.
really a thing. This is 100%. I think there's a.
If
Mr.
you are
Gigi
following,
video.
listen, he has that hustle. Don't hate him for it.
No, but here's the
I'm
thing.
gonna start charging people to talk to me.
Here's the
You're gonna have to
thing.
get Katie coins.
Is I feel like Jeremy
Sorry,
Renner
I'm
was
not
conceited
buying into
enough
that.
to make
You may
it.
be my girlfriend, but it's not happening.
I mean,
Don't support
he's
me.
had like off-screen issues. I don't know what else to call it, but or personal life issues
Yeah.
in the
Mhm.
past. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is his like last thing he does with Disney.
We'll see.
But if not, he's probably made enough money that he'll be very fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that man's made an insane amount of money,
Again, he has an app where you pay to talk to him. So
and
yeah.
he's been in Marvel movies. So, have you watched anything else, Sam?
No, because I've been working like crazy this week.
Lame.
Mm,
Being an adult's stupid.
yeah, it is. Kurt and I have been. This is new for me, not new for you though. We've been watching. We're about halfway through season 5 of JoJo Golden Wind. I know we talk about it so much around you guys.
I keep every time I'm like, how long is it gonna take before they bring up JoJo?
I have a JoJo mask, like for COVID. I have a JoJo mask. Nobody's ever said, is that a JoJo reference, which is a meme in the community, and I've been really sad.
Is that a JoJo reference?
Yeah.
We are just JoJo. This podcast is just a JoJo reference.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I know you don't get the reference, but it's there. Season 6 comes out next week.
Which for
So excited
all
for
of
that.
us non-dated viewers, that's December 1st.
Yeah.
Way to break the illusion of when this was recorded.
I just meant that it was about to come out, so we've got to finish that, and we've been kind of binging it. It's so good. I love La Mancha.
La Mancha?
Oh, I did start a new TV show. I forgot. Well,
Do tell.
after I binged through Emily in Paris, I was like, what shows are like Emily in Paris?
Oh my
And then I
god.
went to Google. There's one on Hulu called The Bold Type, and it's another cutesy rom-com-y-esque TV show, and
Why don't y'all ever watch anything Kurt and I recommend?
because you guys are weird.
You guys like searching.
You compared a Marvel movie to a DC movie.
She compared a Marvel movie to a Marvel movie.
That's true.
Anyway, it's because I'm looking for stuff that I can turn on in the background that I really don't have to pay a lot of attention to right now. Because
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
so it's
what I do
stuff
with-
that's not taking a lot of my brain cells.
That's what I do with Wife Swap. I just turn that on and I'm like, oh
It's
my
just
god,
noise
lady's
in the
crazy.
background. If I pay attention to it, cool. If not, but
Whatever.
it's a cute one. It's a little more raunchy than Emily in Paris is. It's a freeform TV show, which used to be ABC Family.
Yeah, I know what we're talking about then.
But it's cute. It's fine. It's nothing amazing, but I don't know if you liked Emily in Paris, according to Google, you'll like The Bold Type.
Do you like the bold type?
It's all right.
There you go.
I'd prefer to watch Emily in Paris again, but I'll hold out for season 2.
Anyway, my point was the next season of JoJo comes out soon, so we've been watching that a lot, and I am so excited because it has a female lead whose name is Jolene, and I am so excited to see how they're going to start this because the beginning of JoJo Part 6 in the manga starts with something not very PG at all.
Something very R-rated, actually. Actually, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
but it's super exciting.
real hype.
Real hype. Big hype. One day we will con y'all to watching it. And then you understand my obsession with Joseph Joestar.
Maybe.
No, you won't.
I've also
It's fine.
played Apex. That's pretty much all I've done.
Kurt, have you seen anything new?
Man, I know. I mean, I did.
We
get
watched
a
that
bunch of new
documentary
games
about the
today.
60s.
I got. God, what
Oh, yeah,
did
'cause
I say?
I learned that
It's
the
Black
zombies
Friday.
were considered dangerous in the 60s, and also
Zombies?
The band.
the band.
Oh. Well, I was like, well, I think zombies are considered dangerous at any time, Corey.
Yeah, the band. Their lead singer, they were showing some footage of him, and he looks like a 14-year-old. Yeah, he really does. They're like, he was the dangerous type. I was like, he was a 14-year-old.
It's because he's jailbait.
What did you get today?
I got Neo: The World Ends with You. I got Scarlet Nexus.
Oh my god, I am so excited to play Scarlet Nexus.
I got
32.
Lost Judgment.
We can
What was
take
the
it.
last game that you said?
Immortals: Phoenix Rising on Super
Okay.
Show.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. What are you doing?
Stay tuned for next week where we watch the movie and review it haphazardly.
Don't
With
you?
mild tangents.
I'm enjoying this. Love it.
And plenty of very questionable hot takes.
Yeah.
I told you should watch Oldboy after you watch Shang-Chi. What's wrong with me? Yo, alright, you guys. It's been real. It was a fun time this week. Please check out our socials at CDR Pod or at CDR Podcast on Facebook.
Certainly Doomed Reviews on
Certainly Doomed
Facebook. You were so close, man.
Please check us
So
out.
proud.
Check me out on Twitter. I got JoJo memes.
Hell
Do you?
yeah.
Oh, you don't even post anything.
I posted some JoJo memes.
Some.
Just some.
That
I have
nobody
photos of my cat and
understands.
dog. They're so stupid. I love them so
They're
much.
so flippin' cute. I don't understand how our dog is so dumb but so cute.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Check us out. It's been real.
yeah, thanks for listening to this wonderful.
Hot take.
Yeah, stay tuned
Dumb
to
episode.
figure out if I'm on crack or not, because apparently I am.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll
We love you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
and happy holidays.
Thank you so much for listening. Bye. We love you. See you later. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
It's been real.